We flipped a coin, okay? You and me. You and me. Coin flip is sacred.
Y'all ready for a show today, baby? Go time, baby.
We've been waiting all week for this. This is where it happens right here, man. We man up, we stand up. We man up, we stand up. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got.
Hit anything that moves. We're playmakers, man. We the best, nothing less.
You don't like this one. Trust me, you don't like it.
We're between the white lines. This is football. Welcome to the big league. I won the toss. I took the football. Drive it down that throat.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your skull?
Hey, every season is full of defining moments. Let's make this day a defining moment for us in our quest.
Game time! Game time!
Welcome, everybody, to episode 28 of the CoinFlip NFL Week 10. With me, as always, is my partner Tambo at Toe Tagging Tambo. Tambo, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Excited, man. Another last chance for King of the Beach. That's what I'm really excited about. But we'll talk about all that and more. But yeah, excited. Last week wasn't the greatest, but getting closer. Getting closer. What about you?
Yeah, I went light last week in general. I was out of town, as most of the community knows. Last minute deal. It wasn't a last minute deal. I actually had forgot about it and then got reminded. And so I kind of had to move some things around and try to make do on the weekend. So I didn't go as heavy. I did not do very well on Sunday. DFS wise, betting wise, it was a good day overall. And then luckily the NBA product, which we'll get into a little bit, has been really successful in the whole community in general. I've been dabbling in it just a little bit and had pretty good success, just kind of going off of a little bit of research and then the article that Preston and Dan throw up nightly. I know a lot of people has been betting his best bet, which was just kind of a deal he did in case based on his research on DFS more than anything, but it's been hot fire from everything I've seen. But I've turned, I think 2 nights ago, I played like $60 at the last minute before it all started and threw one lineup in and won like 1,100 that night. So it made up for the not so good Sunday. Another case of having almost virtually all the right plays, just not putting them in the 3 lineups together. I'm toying with if I do some kind of MME this week in NFL, but like and it may be because of the King of Beach, I may try to find one of the 20 max or 100 max or something and try to just spend 1 week of the year focused on the King of the Beach, see if I get in and make a run at it. I haven't really done many of the Qs or satellites to get in year to date, so I may try that this week just to see how the strategy works out. Missed a little bit. I went ahead and didn't play Wilson and Lockett, which obviously was not going to get you any kind of money. Other than that, I was okay with everything else. I nailed most of the games betting wise. I just got to use that leverage a little bit more in DFS, and that was some of that talk with you about in a little bit. Did you do anything betting wise or just, I know we had some bets on the take, but I didn't know if you had any bets that last week. I know the Ravens cleaned up. I assume you probably bet them.
No, I don't ever bet my team, but I feel good about it. And that's just sort of my enjoyment there, the emotional hedge. But man, we smashed the Patriots. So was absolutely pumped about that. We look like a real contender, and that'll probably all go away when some stupid shit this week when the Bengals beat us in Cincy or some crazy stuff. But we'll get there too. But no, my only bet of the week actually was a narrative street that I'm going to get into on this pod again. I'm going to double down on it, but we'll talk about that when we get to the play. So it wasn't a good week betting. The King of the Beaches, I got 2 more second places. That sucked. So wah, just nobody cares. Work harder. That's sort of my mantra and what I want to do this week. So I'm into them now, but I talked to OG John and some boys in the Slack. I think it's harder to come second 5 times than it is to win 1. So it's just some bad variance, and I'm hoping to get one this week and get back for the 4th straight time. So looking forward to it, and we'll move on.
Yeah, I think the community overall is thriving. It's doing well. Obviously, I've had a lot of people. I don't really talk about myself much, but and I knew I was getting close, but I was not in any way, shape, or form paying attention to anything Sunday as I was getting back home and had a issue come up Saturday night that I had to deal with well into the day Sunday. So that put me not paying attention. And I had people texting me about I'm number one in the Super 7 with, there was still at that point, I think the Sunday night, Monday night game, or maybe something like that. I don't know. But, that's been positive. I mean, it's great. Obviously I'm pretty sure JB can probably tell me, I'm fairly confident. I've never won any of our contests, which is, fine with me or whatever. I've competed in some, but, there's so much football left that I really don't even think about it at this point. Obviously, I'd rather be first than 400th right now, per se. But
Right.
Yeah, I'll take it. But really excited with, the NBA was a very last. We discussed it for a long time, along with MLB. It wasn't our original core to the whole business model and what we could offer. I'm not a micromanager by any stretch of the imagination, not even in my real career. I trust my people to do what they're supposed to do, and I hold them accountable for that. But to do something and bring something on that I'm not an expertise in or have time to really be that as a safe fall was outside of my realm a little bit. But it couldn't be going better for NBA. I'm happy for the guys. I know D-Rock and whoever we bring on to help him will kill the MLB. He did so good the last 2 months of the year that I really think all the guys, as much as people bitched about, adding the tools and it being a new price, I've had 3 times the amount of members reach out behind the scenes saying how much they appreciate and wanted us to know they appreciate that we've added this content and everything for them. And those guys that have been loyal to us, it hadn't cost them a penny more,
Right.
nor will it ever as we get into it. So that's always rewarding to hear, and diversifies our portfolio and helps our team diversify a little bit. And this week with no golf, they get to explore out. We'll have some more on that a little later on ideas and stuff with that. Let me hit the sponsors and affiliates real quick. As always, our key sponsor for the entire football season, Super Draft. Man, you guys are y'all are doing well on there. I think there's probably, I don't know if anybody's better than us in the industry. I'm not a comparison purpose, but I can say no one has more content and coverage of the Super Draft product out there than what we do. Someone may have equal, and that's great. We want it to grow. They're great partners. They've given us feedback of the people that have signed up and been active, and it's really helped grow their product. They're here for the long run. That's why we invested in them to invest in us. We believed in them that they were sticking around for a while, and they're continuing. Our promo of deposit $10, you get $10 free, which gives you $20. Their main big pot on Sundays is a $20 entry. It's been averaging, and it's still this week, it's 4,700 total entries, $80,000 guarantee pot, 10,000 to first. I say it every week, but I continue to say it because I want people to know, and especially if you're in the community, it's not like a pitch by us or us trying to get it. It's that if you're new and uncomfortable and you get, intimidated by $200,000 entry pots or amount of entries in a contest, this lets you can put 3 or 4 or 5 in. You can put 1 in and you're not just terrible, but you can put a small dollar amount in and have your best EV coming back at you. And people have done it, and it's proven there. You can pull your money out after you do it if you want. They're not holding you to some kind of, you got to play 10x to get your money back or nothing. It's simply put the $20 in play once. If you double up first game and pull 40 out, there's nothing to it. They send it back. And we've had people do that, and that's fine. Majority of the people have committed back in because they also have MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL, PGA. They're going to have every sport there, and similar strategies of not having to worry about salary as much and just worry about who you think will do well and factor in the multiplier, which, we kind of get into all that, and we will get into it more as PGA comes around for sure, as we're learning the product as well. It's our first, kind of big fall out there. But I can promise you no one will have it covered as well as we do. This link and everything else is up on our site. You can click the link, use the code GUP on that, and get your free $10. Fanshare Sports, 20% off when you use the code GUP. The link is on the side. You get the pro advantage. Very, very detailed on their ownership. Comes in handy on NFL for sure. I provide ownership and golf and NFL, but they're very, very deep and detailed with trends and ups and downs that we don't have, buzz ratings, stuff like that I use. I use it in my, they know I'll use it and I'll reference them if I use it in content or talk about it. Have a great relationship with both those guys and their team. And then last but not least, Pro Football Focus. You can get the elite package right now, $50 off if you sign up for the annual, or $10 off if you sign up for the monthly. And that's you got to use our link on the site, gupscorner.com affiliates. Sign up today, get $50 off the elite, which is a great, especially if you're a big time, if you're a best ball guy or you're a big time college draft type guy, they have a ton of coverage on there that will help you prep as you go into that season. So go check them out. As always, rate and review us on iTunes, Instagram, Facebook, subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. Big news last week where we talked about the Honda Classic giveaway. We talked about all that, which I'll talk about at the end of the podcast in case you missed it. And rate and review us on iTunes, get you an entry into giving that. It's an all expense paid trip to the Honda Classic with the Gups Corner team this year. We have tickets every day. We have at least 2 rounds of golf. There's another huge announcement coming the next week where Gups Corner is heavily involved that you guys are going to be excited about. You get an entry in there. Your airfare, your lodging, everything is provided by Gups Corner. It's going to be a several $1,000 package by the time it's all done for whoever's going to win this. There's going to be about 6 to 8 ways to get entered, which we will have detailed information. I'll hit a little bit at the end of the podcast, and then we'll have our big flyer and everything going out here this week. So stay tuned for that. First way to get into it is rate and review us on iTunes. You know how much that helps us and how much we weigh that. The Listener League will be up tonight. I don't think I've posted it yet. I had to go to an appointment this afternoon, so I didn't get it up yet, but I will. Last week's winner was Kyle Sals, S-A-L-S. Pretty common lineup that was up there at top of the leaderboards. I did not have it, but he did a great job. He had the Wilson Lockett combo. He had Samuels, which was pretty chalky, but, solid. Melvin Gordon, which I talked about a lot. I had him in every one of my lineups. He paid off greatly. I just didn't put the right pieces around him. Evans was solid. Mike Williams, who I know Tambo was big on. Ertz, we both said at 4,700, he's going to pay off. Is this the week? He did. Chubb, pretty sneaky play. Not sneaky. I just don't think he was looked at as much with everything that was out there. Then the Steelers D, which wasn't necessarily one of the ones that was had up there. So I think a great solid cash pieces, but he put some good pieces around it. Any thoughts there, Tambo?
Yeah, I mean, awesome lineup. It's solid as it can get because, like you said, so Samuels is whatever. I mean, he was whatever. I think he was 60% owned in some places. That was warranted based on the situation. That pretty much had to be it. I was all over Ertz at 4,700. I should have listened to you more on Gordon. And if you look at the lineup, I just didn't get enough in. If you look at the lineup from here, Gordon and Ertz are both way too cheap. I think Gordon was 5,000 and Ertz was 4,700. These are guys that you've seen priced at, Gordon up as high as 8K. Last year, even higher. And Ertz is a guy who used to be the $6,300, $6,500 guy. With D-Jax coming back, he made sense. With Gordon just being that piece that was another week healthier, that made sense. The rest of the lineup was cut and dry. But that's what we're always talking about when we're saying, you don't need to get too cute. That was the complete opposite of cute. That was just perfect as far as construction goes. Chubb is an offsetting play, good, bad, or the ugly. There's nothing wrong with Chubb. His volume is CMC-esque at times or Fournette-esque. No, nothing wrong with that play. And then the Steelers D fit nicely with Samuels, and they create a lot of pressure. So Kyle Sal's killer lineup, man. I really liked it.
Yeah, and he reached out to him, and he gets a choice of a shirt and hat, one or the other in the merchandise this week. Our new shirts and hat. I'll have some information on that as well later. I had a guy, which I hadn't even looked at. This is the first time I've ever talked about Gordon. I don't even think I sent you a text on there. I mean, I was dead nuts right on that. I was all over it.
Killed it.
I didn't say a word about it at all. And I had some guy DM me Sunday night, and he's like, don't think you're good just because you talked about Gordon. He just lucked into some touchdowns. And I was like, dude, I haven't even watched the game today. I don't know anything about it. But, be better. Do what you got to do. But if that makes you happy, text me, because I was like, I didn't even say anything about it. And it just blew me away that people are like that out there. But I've gotten used to it by now, so I just move on and mute them. So I don't want to talk, and I will apologize. I'm fighting a major, I don't know if I have strep, but my throat has been on fire for about 3 days, and I keep not having time to go to the doctor. So you will hear me struggling a little bit tonight, but I'll get through it. Contest selection and general strategy. The only thing I want to go into this week is 2 things with you. If you haven't listened to our preseason pod, go check it out. I will tell you that Tambo and I are going to do several pods during the golf break, which will be, we have 2 more golf. We have Mayakoba and RSM next week and the week after. And then there's about a 5-week break. Yeah. 5-week break of DFS golf. There's the President's Cup, which I know they're announcing teams right now. Hopefully by the end of the show, we'll get you the full selections if you missed it. And then the Heroes Challenge, which is Tiger's deal. I may do some betting or something, but no DFS. We're going to do general contest selection strategy. I know both of us have a lot of ideas, and we get a ton of feedback from Slack. And matter of fact, if you go to the live questions Slack and you want to throw topic ideas in there that you would like to hear a podcast about, do that, and we'll grab them, because I know they get deleted because we go through like 10,000 messages a day at these rates currently. But we're going to do 3 or 4 pods leading up to the 2020 seasons about all kinds of stuff that you guys talk about. We're not ignoring you. I know you guys ask tons of questions, and I know you guys love it, because when we get into it, we want to keep these pods under an hour so we don't have a lot of time. But do that. We're going to hit that up big time leading into the 2020 season. We have a lot of great, not surprises, but great things coming that's going to be awesome for the community. My question to you was 2 things, and you already hit on one. I didn't know if I knew you would know about it, but I didn't know if you had planned on talking to it. One is, when you don't have a big PGA week, and I know you're a pretty good PGA, but say you're just you just don't put a lot of money in PGA, but that money is free this week. Do you allocate it to another sport, one that you already do, or do you say, I'm going to put $100 in NBA and try it out? How do you allocate those funds in a week like this? And then my second was, when it's last in, king of the beach, last time to get it, do you change any strategy, contest, more money, anything like that? Those were kind of the only 2 questions I had for you.
Wow, they're good questions. So I feel lucky that it works out that there's no golf this week. So in my mind, I can allocate that money. Now, typically though, bad form, so to speak, I don't say, by the way, now there's no golf this week, I got to push that $3,000 that I'm used to putting in somewhere else. I just don't, right? Being open with you. Now on this week, it's not that I'm just chasing. I mean, that's how it's always going to come across with these cues. But if it was something with my process where I was off, I wouldn't go after it. But when you have 5 second places, I mean, it's literally, I remember the first week, Cortland Sutton fell on the 1 yard line, and Emmanuel Sanders got the touchdown on Monday Night Football, and I finished 4 points back. The catch alone with the touchdown is 7 points, and the game would have ended if Sutton falls in and I win a ticket on week 1, and the whole structure changes, like butterfly effect shit. So I'm not going to change much. I am going to play all the cues this week to try and get into it, because that's what I want to do. I want to get into it again. I think there's a $1,000 tournament with 1,100 people that I could play, and you can win $200,000 for first this week, or you can get into a 75. Well, it's first you got to get through the 200-man stage, but I feel confident enough in my lineup building. If I can get at least 1 ticket in and get to the top 75, then I'm in a 75-man tournament to win $200,000. So I like my odds for that better. I'll push some money into that, but it's not really going above and beyond, and it really has nothing to do with the fact that there's no golf. I just appreciate the fact that there's no golf, and I've had, like you, a little bit of success in NBA so far that I can feel pretty good about having a little bit of money and shoving it in. So I'm definitely going to go after the King of the Beach this week again.
Yeah, and I'm going to do some only kind of similar to you. I may not even be allocating more money to football, because, and I know everybody's gonna say, well, you're just hyping up the NBA because you're trying to sell it. Again, we just gave it away to, I'll just say, 4-figure amount of people for free. Like, we added NBA and MLB, and those guys didn't have to pay us a penny. So we damn sure aren't doing it for money. And I've openly admitted I have my doubts. I said at the beginning of the podcast, and Tambo can tell you, I had very concerned about putting a product out that if these guys fell off the face of the earth or were something I didn't like, I don't have the time or resources to do it. So it's going to be very tough for me, but I couldn't be more happy with not only the presentation, but the Slack's feedback. Everybody's loving it. But you don't have to play for a lot. Like I just told you, I played for $70 the other night. I can assure you I don't play for $70 NFL and PGA. And I still had fun because it's a daily deal, and it's something to, more than anything, to be honest, it's something to be in the Slack and talk to the guys about, because everybody's bullshitting about it, and there's a bunch of degens in there. So you kind of feel like you're the left out kid if you're not playing it. You're like, you're on the playground by yourself tossing the Frisbee, and everybody's over here at the cool jungle gym and shit. And so you're like, well, I might as well go try to play this, even though I don't know shit about NBA. I like the sport, but I just don't dive into it. But they don't give away, we damn sure don't give away lineups, but they give enough information where you can try to construct a solid lineup. They give great in-depth on 1 or 2 or 3 guys a night, and then they let you still do the work. No different than us, but because it's nightly and daily, they can't like go in depth on 80 guys. That's retarded. But I really like the style. I think both the guys are killing it. I know MLB is going to be the same way, so I'm really excited about it. But I might put some funds there. What I'm going to do this week, kind of a little different than you, is I may not play my normal contest and just say, all right, I'm going to take my funds for this week, find the best 1 or 2 strategies for the King of the Beach qualifiers, and just say for 1 week I'm going to put all my funds that I would normally play and put it in that. And I just want to say that's okay if you want to do that out there, guys. Like, don't feel like you're chasing this 1 week. It's, hey, if you want to if you normally play $200, go find the best contest, put $200 in and see if you can get to the King of the Beach. It's a great, like Tambo just said, what's the original cut? Is it 200 down to 75, Tambo?
Yeah, it's 200 down to 75. And then you just said it. It's for fun, right? Like it's definitely a good time if you can get down there. I met some great people. It's been on for the last 3 years. The first year I made it and didn't quite get in. It was the top 50 went on, and I got 54th, had 2 running backs go down. And then the last 2 years I got to the live portion and meet some great people. Like Gup said, we'll definitely always be preaching bankroll management. But if you normally put in $500 into golf and want to chuck 100 in this week on a King of the Beach trial, we're talking football here, I would highly recommend it. It's going to be well worth your entertainment. It's a one-time deal. You're still $400 behind that you would have normally played in golf. You're playing football anyway. You're just putting, some of that, mama don't know money maybe in there or something like that, right? $100, chuck it in and have some fun.
Do they, just correct me if I'm wrong, then we'll move on to this week because everybody's probably ready for that. But I'm not as good on the contest with NFL because I don't pay attention as in-depth as golf at times. But is there quarter and 50-cent cues?
Yeah, there's actually a 50-cent cue, 150 max. So if you're ever a time to spend $75 and put 150 in, it's definitely a larger field. But there's a $20 20 max with 650 people, and we're going to move on. But there's a $100 where it's a 4 max with 134 people. And then if you want to go a little bit bigger, there's a 385 that's got 67 people, but 2 tickets. So it's all what your bankroll is. There's something for everybody. There's a $1, there's a $4, there's a lot of options. And this is the last week, so you might as well have some fun. Go hard.
I think some people think that these cues always cost a shit ton of money, and they don't. Now, it's no different than the regular week. Playing a $5 compared to a $5.55, there's a numbers game there. But, yeah, if you got $75 this week and you've never built 150 lineups, and you're like, well, hell, I want to just see how I do because I think I have pretty good player pools. I'm raising my hand there. This is me. I may do it. I may go build 150 lines for 50 cents each and just see how I do. And even if I don't win that, at least I can go look at like the Millie Maker or some of these other 150 contests and go, well, how would I have done in that this week? Doing my process, I built my 150, even though I didn't win the qualifier because there's only one, probably, maybe 2. I want to go up to this other contest and see how I did, and it can at least give you confidence or not give you confidence, vice versa, whatever, and see how you do. Just some different things to think about this week. It's kind of a different week, so I wanted to hit on that a little bit. We are going to go fast and furious. I think it's a very apologize again for the throat. It's a very unique week when you look at the player pools and the pricing. And Tambo and I hadn't talked at all. I did release my rankings earlier, which I normally don't, but I felt bad about last weekend. I wanted to get them out early this week, especially with no golf. I'll have version 2 and 3 still, but there's going to be some interesting decisions. I can't wait to get into Tambo with it. But first, let's kick off Thursday night football. Chargers, Raiders, divisional game, pretty big one. Chargers favored by 1, a 48.5 total. Tambo, 120 seconds or less. Give me your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, the Chargers just got a break for once, right? They had the missed kick there at the end, so got themselves a W. Probably feeling pretty good about that. The fact that it's a division game kind of makes it a little more interesting for me, and that I think it'll be a little bit closer, maybe not as high scoring as what we always think, but these island games typically aren't anyway. But for this game, you'd think with a 48.5 total. Now, I like Rivers. You've seen what we've seen with Rodgers, Watson, Stafford, all these guys throwing all over them. So definitely expect that to continue. Certainly will be chasing my Mike Williams play. The guy got there on his salary in like 2 plays last week, and he still doesn't have a touchdown. So I'm expecting him to get that elusive touchdown this week. Perfect spot against the Raiders. Keenan Allen, Melvin, always in play because of who they are, but I'm not as high on them as I am someone like Mike Williams. And then Hunter Henry's another one that I like with Rivers to be a little bit different. And then for the Raiders side, real quick, is Tyrell Williams. Still seems cheap. He's the sort of the sneakier mid-range play, the guy that actually scores the touchdown. So, he's got a bunch of them. I don't mind him at all for bringing it back. And I think the other thing is if you are thinking that the Chargers are going to be up, I think the sneaky or cheap flex spot that you could go after would be Jalen Richard at 3K, getting a lot of checkdowns. It's a good spot for that against a team like the Chargers who can create that pressure, let him slip outside, and then flip it over to him. 3K in a flex spot, I don't mind him. What about you, Gup?
Yeah, in general, I agree. I haven't looked at the showdown pricing. I forgot to. I didn't forget. I just had shit this afternoon. What is Gordon priced up this week or no?
He's not. I forget exactly what he's at right now. I looked at him, but I was more focused on the other guys I wanted to talk about. I'll grab it up here right quick.
Yeah, Gordon's a guy that I think is, and I said it last week, obviously, inside and out, and I think he could come back. I don't mind. I do think it'll be a higher scoring game. So spreading it out is fine. I definitely think it'll be one of those games where you have to. I mean, it's just a crapshoot. So you got to hit the captain, and I like a Renfro could be a potential lower price captain, a lot of touches, and if he happens to have that big game where he gets a touchdown or two, and you're able to fit some more pieces, because it's a game just off the cuff that I definitely think you could play both quarterbacks in, because you could see enough action. It's not a play a bunch of defense and kickers game, at least in my opinion right now. And if I change it, I'll update in the Slack tomorrow. But I agree with most of what you said there.
7,200 for Gordon, so fair price.
Yeah, I mean, you could go captain him, or if because, I mean, to your point, in general, because of his last week, people may forget about Eckler a little bit. Maybe you flip it now and you say Eckler gets a bunch of catches and stuff out of the backfield. I think Eckler's in play because you got them boys coming off the end for the Charger, Bosa, and they may be having some more checkdowns and short passes. The tight end comes into play in my mind, especially with the Phillip Rivers. You know his natural instinct for a tight end over his career. So those are kind of plays I'll be looking at. I do bullet life on Showdown 90% of the time, so I pick and choose and kind of let it roll. Did okay Monday night with the Cowboys, or maybe Sunday night, whichever game that was. Made up a little bit for the NFL, but definitely a game I'm looking forward to. I like a lot of the pieces there. I'm a huge Josh Jacobs guy. I played him last week with Gordon and Samuels was my 3 running backs in my bullet, I believe. And if I had Wilson Lockett, it really would have been a good week. I just got too cute, and we talked about it earlier. Getting cute kills you.
Yeah, real quick, yep. We'll move on to the main slate. But Jacobs is 9,400 to give you a comparison. That Gordon's at 7,200. So wow. I'm still kind of with you. And I mean, Eckler's 7,000. I don't mind that, but I kind of like the Gordon for the captain play, just because that's 2,400 in savings. Then you double, add another 1,200 for 1.5x in that captain spot. That's $3,600 in the difference. I'll take Gordon at home all day, or sorry, on the road all day. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's a good comparison. Way to bring that up. I like Jacobs too, but I put Gordon I'd go Gordon in the captain, Renfro, and then I build out from there because I like both those guys. The playbook is our Sunday main slate. The main reason most of you guys are here. If you don't know, we cover the showdown stuff tonight, obviously we do Thursday. Sunday night, the Slack's hopping. We don't necessarily do an article. I know I've been asked, do we plan on adding one? I may do one next year. We got enough people on the team. I may have a couple guys try to get in charge of a write-up for Sunday night and Monday night. I forget that not everybody gets into the Slack, so that's on me. We'll address that a little bit, but if you're in the Slack, you get all the information you could possibly need about the Sunday night, Monday night DJing slates. But that's not an excuse for us. We will address that because we give great information in there. I just sometimes forget to post it because I am trying to squeeze like an hour a weekend to spend the time with the family. So normally in between that Sunday sweat day and then right before that kicks off, I'm a little busy. But we will address that and take care of it. Maybe I can get one of the guys to write up an early article on Sunday, Monday Night Showdown. The playbook, 5,500 for running back and quarterback is our value. 5,000 for wide receiver, 4,000 tight end, 3,000 defense. We have a play, a fade, and a value for every position. We double up on the play and value for wide receivers. We skip on the fade for defense each and every week, as there's not really a fade to defense per se. Been pretty hot fire the last month in general. If you and I could build a team together, we may kill every fucking contest out there, but we have not been able to do that. So there's not a person in the world that could say we work together on lineups, because if we did, we'd do a hell of a lot better than what we're doing right now.
That's what I was just thinking, man. Holy shit.
By 1 or 2. As always, Tambo, kick us off. Quarterback, play, fade, and value.
Anybody watching at home will see it. I got the Lamar jersey on, man, and it's his time. I don't care what anybody says. It's not recency bias. I've talked about him enough this season, all the way. Bill Polian or whatever, talking about he's a wide receiver. The stats are insane for him in all of his games. We're dating right back when he played 7 games last season for the Ravens. Since he gets crushed by everybody at every position. So chalk or not, $7,300. Don't care. Love Lamar. I think he's the best quarterback and running back on the slate as far as matchups are concerned. So, I'll go with Lamar there. There's some other guys that I'll talk about when we get to the stacks and stuff, because he doesn't necessarily stack as well. There's one guy, which is obvious, that I'll put him with, Chalky, but we'll move from there. And then my fade is going to be Rodgers. And it's really just the area that he's in. Way too many guys in his range. You got Breeze, you got Kyler, you got Winston. So I'm giving up some of my guys there that I'm saying I want to be on. And so I don't like his price because where he suits in against those guys, it just doesn't fit for me. And yeah, it would be contrarian naturally, but I don't know if it's necessarily good contrarian just because of the matchup, the spot, and the fact of the guys that are there around him really have some huge upside on this slate. And value, I almost hate that it's 50. Like I hate the range. So I got one guy, and this is more of a game theory / maybe narrative, if you want to call it. But I'm going to say Trubisky only because, pretty much all the quarterbacks are 5,700 and up right now, and he's not. He's below that. The increase in the range with everyone going up to 7,300 with Lamar. So you got to have someone down here that's cheap enough to fit our value range. And everyone wanted Trubisky to be a hero last week, and he sucked again. So I'm thinking maybe this will be the spot in the DFS industry where people are I know they're off automatically, but if Detroit sets the tone and the pace keeps getting up like they have in games this year, when everyone says, and we've talked about this in the past, where Detroit slows down the game, they haven't been able to. Now they're on the road in Chicago, Soldier Field, tough place to play. What if he gets it going? Detroit can be passed on. So certainly don't mind that for some cheap off the radar stacks, but I don't love this. And maybe I'm reaching here, but I have to pick someone.
Yeah. So before I give mine, I want to give a little feedback, and I'm going to try to encourage that. I've had a viewer DM ask, he's really cool guy. And he just said, hey, sometimes we don't hear back and forth between you and Tambo. We get it in general, but be cool like you do in golf. So my one fear of Lamar, and I agree with you on Lamar, is do you fear them blowing them out? My gut says no because of that inter-division battle. It's on the road. It's, the 10's probably a lot, blah, blah, blah. And I know you're probably there too, but I guess a question for one that was going to decide to jump 7,300, the highest on the slate by far, at him would be, do they blow him away and they're just pounding it with Gus the Bus and Ingram? Is there any little fear of that? Although I know you're supposed to points rushing, do you have any fear at all doing that?
Not really. If you had to put a number on it, like let's say that's like I'm worried like 10% that out of 100 that could happen, because the thing is like you said, the interdivision battle, that's for certain for me. The matchup independent or the game script independent, if you want to call it, is the fact that even if they're blowing him out, it's still going to take probably 3 quarters or a crazy half, and he's just involved in all of it. So it's really hard. Like let's say they blow him out in 3 quarters, he's probably at 30 to 35 DK points. He could have already, he's probably already done his job. And it really just so many ways for him to get it. The biggest fear actually would, and the only way I think that it would be going wrong somehow, and most people say there's no way, is if Cincinnati D just decides to make this like a Super Bowl game for them, right? At home against Lamar, coming against the Patriots. You guys just saw them beat who everyone expects to be one of the Super Bowl contenders and got the pants beat off them by Lamar and the Ravens on the Patriots. But again, I just don't see it. So that would be the only way it could happen.
I love the play on Lamar, and I love it mainly, and I didn't pick him per se, but because if nothing else, I would say the unique play of the week or the contrarian would be, he's 7,300. No one wants to pay that. If Patrick Mahomes winds up being in, there's not going to be hardly anybody that's going to take Lamar for $300 more than Mahomes. So very low owned in my opinion, but I believe with AJ Green coming back, and with Tyler Boyd and Tate, and if Ravens have a good D, but the Patriots aren't a team that's going to test anybody downfield. And if you got a healthy AJ Green with Tate and Boyd, you could potentially have, I agree with you. I think Cincinnati could actually not like shut them down or anything, but compete, be competitive at home. If this was at Baltimore, a totally different thing. And as shockingly, let's say it's even 35-21, 38-21, 38-17, where Cincinnati keeps it competitive enough to keep enough pressure on the pedal that Lamar does have to stay in and play well. It even makes him more attractive at that price because he could pay it off and hardly anybody's going to be on him. So I do like it. My play, no one I thought you would go with Lamar, or at least I thought it was a chance, is Winston. I like that game in general. I try not to like out trick myself because now I'm thinking everybody's probably going to be on Tampa Bay, Arizona, or real close. Maybe New Orleans, Atlanta. I'll talk about that in a second. But Arizona and Tampa Bay could be a really, really good just football game. You got 2 quarterbacks trying to prove a lot still. Winston, you just can't get out of his own way at times, but he was right there. I mean, they get up 21-7 on Seattle. Obviously, Wilson comes back, but they didn't go away even when they came back, which I like. So even though they lost, they're still competitive. They are back home. It's going to be warmer, but that shouldn't affect Arizona too much. But I really like that game, and I just like his weapons a hair more than Murray, and it's not that big of a price difference, $300, that I lean Winston there in that matchup. I'm going to fade Matt Ryan. I don't even know if he'll be talked about, but 6,100 is just ridiculous for him right now. If he does wind up starting, which right now it looks like he is. I want no part of Atlanta. The only player that's playable, because it doesn't matter who's at quarterback, he's going to get the ball like 10 times, is Julio. But I don't even know if I'd go there. I think New Orleans goes, it's at home this week, and I think they blow the doors out of Atlanta. 20-point plus type win. I'm not. This is going to be a murder to me. I agree with you on the value. I put none, and then I said, well, yeah, there's two. It's just the pricing, like you said. There's an algorithm there, and because they priced up Mahomes, expect him to play, and Lamar, that middle zone's kind of, there's Daniel Jones or something like that. But
you said the guy I was going to say, but they jammed. What they did is they jammed the 6K and above. So it's not that we might have to make our value 5,900 for the pod to give some guy some ideas and we'll cheat, quote unquote. But I'm just saying that is really ugly for value, quote unquote, in that range.
Yeah, the only two guys I even remotely mentioned was Fitzpatrick, just because they'll sling it, and if they're behind, we don't know what's going to happen with Brissett for the Colts. That Fitzpatrick could throw for 300 plus yards and a couple touchdowns. That team looks a lot more energetic than, like, say, a Bengals and Jets right now, in my opinion. And then the only note I made was similar to you, and I said, there's always one week where Trubisky looks like a Super Bowl quarterback, like goes for 350 and 4 touchdowns. And my gut this morning just said, this is probably going to be the week. If I'm building a lot of lineups, I build a Bear stack lineups just for the hell of it, because I just have a gut feeling like everybody's against him. They lose again. I mean, everything doesn't look great, but they're back home. It's against the Lions, and it's just one of those weeks where I could see this being the highest scoring game on the slate for no damn reason. There's nothing that should say it, but there's enough little pieces there that if you game stack this and it busted loose, you could it could pay off dividends for you. I do agree with you on Aaron Rodgers. Also to note, we need to start paying attention to weather. Make sure you follow us for the Audible Saturday night. It's already snowing in Green Bay, I think, today. So this is that time of year where we got to start paying attention to wind, snow, stuff like that. Nothing crazy right now, but something to keep an eye on. Tambo, kick us off with running back, 2 plays, a fade, and 2 values.
Can I say Lamar Jackson again?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I don't know. We joke a little bit in the Slack and stuff just because guys have talked about the Ingram, nonsense with him getting all the love to start the season. Mark Ingram in the Millie Makers and whatnot, two weeks in a row, he was like almost 30% for some weird reason. And there's just no ceiling for him. We've talked about it enough. So Lamar's going to smash here. But I speaking of weather in that game, if LaShawn McCoy can have these snow games, can't CMC have these snow games? Because I don't know. I'm still loving CMC. I think you just play him at this point. Not going to go all in or anything like that, but 10-5 from 10, I mean, it seems reasonable. He's proven it again. I saw a stat today on Twitter. Forget who it was. I apologize. But if you go back, not just this season, but someone showed that in 13 of his last 16 games in the NFL, he scored 16 or more DK points, 8 of those being over 30 and 3 of them being over 40. So there's just no stopping this guy. You got to roll CMC. We'll get your thoughts in a minute on that. The other play, the guy, they just don't increase in price for whatever reason. And I know he's not always, I always say he's a FanDuel play with the touchdown upside, but man, Derrick Henry just doesn't get any respect. $6,400 at home. Another good matchup for me. I'm fine with it. Guy's always a little bit better on FanDuel because he doesn't catch a lot of passes, but this is the thing, right? If he gets 2 touchdowns, all you really want is 1 and then some yards. He can definitely run over 100 yards. But if he gets his second touchdown, that's like 6 catches right there on one thing because it's 6 points. So if he gets 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, that's the bonus. That's 2 touchdowns. And even if he doesn't catch a single pass, it's still going to outdo some guys over 6,400. I think that's more than fair. My fade is going to be Barkley. I don't know. Maybe he's a good GPP play, but at $8,800, the difference between, he's right in between 2 guys I like. I like CMC, who I just talked about. I like Kamara, even on the road. Everything's there is fine. So, or at home, sorry. And now maybe Ingram down. So I think they're just going to put more focus to Barkley, and they're not looking that good for $8,800. I don't like that play that much at all. And then this is the thing again with value, just stupid. but two of them I'll say. One I'll go more in depth on. One is I got to cheat a little bit. David Johnson says he's 100% out of his own mouth. At $5,700, he might be this week's Melvin Gordon. I know he's $200 outside the range, but got to talk about him. And then my other guy, I mentioned this at the top of the pod, was my bet last week, and it failed. And I put it like late night in the Slack because I was feeling so good I had to tout it. But man, no one's talking about it. And then Singletary went on ahead of day, but Frank Gore was 99 yards behind Barry Sanders for third on the all-time list. He was $4,200 last week. I said, damn, you know what's going to happen. He's going to get that bonus on DraftKings for 100 yards, and at the same time, break the record. Not break the record, crack into the top 3 and pass Barry Sanders, the big thing he's going after, right? So I was feeling that pretty good. His total was like 38.5 or something, or something stupid on the yardage. So I had to go after it. And I'm going to do it again this week. I'm going to double down. But he's 4,000. Now everyone's talking about Singletary. Everyone loves this Buffalo D. They did last week too. Gore at 4,000. If Singletary gets popular, will be an easy pivot for me because the matchup is strong. They're going to want to run it in the dog pound on the road at Cleveland. Try and get Gore going again and get that third place and take it away from Barry Sanders. I'm rolling with him at 4,000.
Yeah, I'll get to the Singletary during a second. I actually wound up playing him in one of my 3 just because of pricing last week, and I was like, yeah, I like him. I put him in the same category as David Montgomery. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't have been against the Gore call, but had I been in Slack that morning, obviously you know where I was. I would that probably would have talked me off of it. I probably would have said that's a good point. I may go Gore, but agree with you for most of the part there. Kamara is my play. Number 1 play, 8,200. If there's no other time for him to have a traditional Kamara game, Drew Brees back, he plays better with Brees. He's at home. Atlanta's got a halfway decent at times in spots defense, nothing crazy, but hitting him out of the backfield, I can just picture him now taking one for 60 out of the backfield on a halfback, screen or something like that. Plus another 80, 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns total type deal. I mean, I really could see him, as far as dollar value per point, outdoing CMC for sure, but we'll see how much hype he gets brought up. If that game starts getting hyped up as a high-scoring game, which I don't necessarily think, because I've been against Atlanta for 3 weeks now or so going on, so I don't believe that. But I think New Orleans can get theirs and get theirs quick and plenty. So I like Kamara. I have DJ as a play because of the 5,500 rule, quote unquote. So I didn't put him in value, but I 100% agree with you. And I just hope he doesn't, because Gordon never really got popular last week. No one, I think I may have been one of the few that were even mentioning him, and I put DJ right back there. You nailed it. I'm all in it. I don't care if they're on the road. Tampa Bay would struggle against a guy like that out of the backfield in general if he's healthy. And I think Edmonds is he's questionable at best right now, so it's not like it's a 1-2 punch situation. He may not even play, if I'm not mistaken. It's early, but it could be a lot of DJ. So I definitely like DJ. So this is tough. Technically my favorite was CMC, and it really had to do with not his price, but the price difference between him and the next bunch. And he has to have that 30 or 40 point game. And because he was a little less on last week and he still smashed, this is more of me thinking people are going to go, I can't miss out. He just continues to do it. And so people are willing fading it because it allows me to build completely different than him. Does that make sense? Or is that?
No, it makes sense. I just, like the only thing I don't, not to get back at you, but I'm saying, like you said, if people are going to keep going there, well, it sounds like they should. 13 out of 16 weeks over 26 at 10-5. I know that 26 isn't the be all end all, but I'm talking more too in like a single cash game, something like that. I know you can pivot off in 3 max, and that's kind of why you want, I think, your 3 entries so that you can have your, in your case, or in my case, we're both kind of conservative in that sense, but I might go 2 CMCs and 1 where I fade them. You with your 3 max might go 1 CMC or none, but if you go 1, at least you can fade him in 2 and feel better about it. But I certainly think there's merit to still playing him, whether the price is 10-5 or the range is empty or not. I think it's ghost town around him for a reason because he's just better than everybody by a mile.
Do you know what his ownership was last week, like in one of the millies or something? I didn't have
it was super low. I think it ended up being like 18 or something like that. Like he still ends up getting some, but it's definitely not near enough. And then when he goes and chops up 40-something points, people are just dumbfounded, right? Like, how'd this happen? Well, because he's that good.
Well, Yeah, and to your point, like if I'm building 100 lineups in some kind of the slant or something like that, or even if I'm building 100 in the, let's just say the 50 cent King of the Beach queue, like I don't mind putting him in 25 by any means. So that's a great point. That I'm more talking about if you're in an isolation 3 max, 5 max, something like that. It'd be a spot where if you think he may be higher owned, it's a good place to fade him. Definitely don't mind being at least equal his ownership if he's going to stay down there with his price, which he very well could. My value plays, you mentioned one. I still like Singletary. I have Singletary / Montgomery. Montgomery continues to get more usage. That game, as I've talked about, could potentially be a lot higher scoring than what you may think. If Trubisky actually has his 1 or 2 of the whole season where he actually shows up. I like Montgomery. I've liked him all year. I liked him preseason. He hasn't really hadn't had the opportunity to show what he's all about. Got a little bit last week, and he played well. Did good. 5,300 is a good price in a field or this whole week. There's just not a lot of great value. You're going to have to find the 1 or 2 spots to go to that you like. And then I still like Ronald Jones, Tampa Bay. That's a game that could be one of the highest. It's projected to be the tied for the highest game right now in point total. Arizona, I think they're a better D now. We talked about it last week. Buda Baker come back, Patrick Peterson being there. I think they're getting better as the year goes on, but still not great. I even like potentially a stack with the Arizona D, and you can still play Tampa Bay just because we always talk about the pick 6 capability of Winston. But for 4,300, I don't mind Ronald Jones if you're just trying to find some deep value there. Before I lead off the wide receivers, anything there on the values or that we didn't talk about?
No, we didn't talk before, though, and that's funny. I got so hyped on the David Johnson cheat that I forgot my other value, which was Ronald Jones. I said, dare I say Ronald Jones, 4,300? I think it's like you just said, everything with them. They've made him full-time, and you can really use him. I like him more for a game stack because I think that game is going to get stacked and be popular, but to fit him in there to make some of the other values fit, a la, last week when you wanted to fit Lockett, Metcalf, Wilson, and get Evans in there, it was tough because you couldn't really find all the value besides Samuels, and then you had to push a bunch of cheap receivers. This is another way to do it this week with a guy like Ronald Jones and fit that Arizona Tampa Bay game stack.
Yeah, and I don't know that he's really just hyped up a lot yet. I don't think he's going to be – he'll be talked about a little bit just because that game's talked about, but he could still be fairly under-owned to get an edge. I'll kick out the wide – yeah, I'll kick off the wide receivers. You've started the first 2. Back to that game, I don't mind going Godwin or Evans. They're right there priced the same. If I'm choosing one and only one, I lean Godwin just a little bit just because of the matchup. It's really going to come down to who I think Peterson's going to match up against. He could float because they're both great. He could just want to lock down Evans. I don't know. It's something I'm going to keep an eye on and kind of deep dive into some notes to see where I think he may be, and I'll update that as the week goes on. But I don't mind either one of those, and I can see scenario where you try to play them both. There's not much value this week, as we just mentioned. So to get both those and some running backs and, a mid-high run quarterback, because there's not a good cheap play there, it's going to be tough. So you're going to have to make some decisions this week. That's why I think construction is going to be so key this week. I think everybody's going to be on the same, call it 30 guys in a pool, but you can't fit because there's not – right now there could be something that comes out where there's an obvious chalk cheap guy, 2 or 3, that lets you pivot around. So you're going to have to make some choices. One guy I do like that just hadn't had a breakout game, but I think he could at any time. And Tampa Bay secondary, we know has been abused at times. It's Christian Kirk. I like him. 5,200 just because of the value. I think, you could drop down to him. Even Fitzgerald's only 55, but 5,200 for a guy that could potentially, have that game we've been waiting on to keep that game stack flowing. Fade-wise for me right now, this is tough. Devontae Adams was the guy I wrote down just because I agreed with you on the Aaron Rodgers deal, potentially kind of ugly game. I could see a scenario where you could talk yourself into not playing Galladay at 7,000 because he's up there and there's so many good options. But I wonder if that game just gets avoided. So I'm keeping it circled as a potential sleeper game, but I don't, other than that, I would fade him at 7,000 because I think I'd rather pay up for Godwin, Evans, Julio even. Cooper Kupp may go under the radar or something like that. But that's how I had him right now. Value's tough this week in all the positions. So at the end of it, I'm just going to ask Tambo, like, how do you even start to build when there's no 2 or 3 just plug in spots? I think we'll get to a little bit on tight end and defense and stuff where you may have to go cheap to try to fit some of these guys in. But I do like Ted Ginn. 3,700. His floor's not 0, but if Atlanta keeps it somewhat competitive and Breeze being back, and Breeze could hit him a little bit, in the across the middle, flat route stuff, and he doesn't have to return a lot to return his value. 8 or 9 points out of him would be huge. And then Jamison Crowder is my other one for the Jets. He's kind of off the wall play for me. I don't hate Darnold. I think he makes a lot of good plays and then some bad that just gets overlooked. But Crowder in general for 5,000 on the number, he gets so many targets and we know the Giants defense is horrendous. The secondary especially, that I don't mind playing Jameis Crowder as a sneaky $5,000 play. What about you at wide receiver?
I like your Ginn value. It's fast track at home, one play, shut it down, boom, first half. That could be how they get their lead, 7-0 right out the gate, right? 75-yard touchdown Ginn. So making a note of that here, marking it down. Pulling up another note. I'll get to my fade in a second. But yeah, so play, I like the other guy there. I like the big dog. I'll pay for him. Michael Thomas. I think, like I said, once more value comes out, you mentioned a key point there, and I re-hit it on the Slack again today. You mentioned about, how do you even start building your lineups? The answer is you don't, right? I got people posting lineups and sending me dummy lineups. Say, how does this look? I'm not being rude when I say I don't. It's not that I don't care. I'm just saying it doesn't matter right now. Like, you have to wait. The NFL is an ever-changing sport. There's so much news. The best of the best DFS players in the world are waiting around on Saturday night for the Schefter bombs, the Rappaport bombs, everything to finalize. Then they're making their slight adjustments, getting their sleep in, waking up, and building out their lineups. And if there's even later news, like game time decision, then they're building up sets for if-then. So if this guy plays, I'm going with this lineup or this pool of whatever. If this guy plays, I'm going with this. So you can't build them yet. There'll be more value that comes out. But I talked about Breeze earlier. I like Michael Thomas. I love your call you just made, and I love Ginn. I love that whole onslaught. But Michael Thomas, pretty much best matchup you can ask for with Atlanta. He's averaging over 15 DK points a game, well over, because he doesn't have a single game less than 15 DK points a game. So he's literally, he's 8,300. He's not cheap, but he's almost averaging 2x that. And you want more, of course, but why couldn't he get more in this spot? The other play I like is Tyreek. Guy looked good even with Matt Moore. He's winning jump balls, for God's sakes, up there in the, for a small guy. He's chasing down their starting running back from 15 yards back at 23 miles per hour almost to catch him in the end zone, if you saw that play. And so now with Mahomes likely back, we didn't even talk about yet. I'm assuming he will be. He was running around jumping on the field afterwards. I feel like he looks pretty good. We'll wait and see what the doctors say. Andy Reid said they couldn't comment on it yet, but why would they? If he's going to be healthy, they don't really want them to know. They'll just slide him in. But even if not, he's still fine. I kind of like him more as a one-off. I'm not going to get too aggressive there. But he could be even a pivot off of a guy like Mike Evans or somewhere in that range or whoever. The DJ Moore and the boys just burned the Titans last week, and Tyreek's faster than them by a mile. So I'll go with him. My fade, it's interesting. You said that, we're on almost the same page. You talked about Adams there. That's sort of one I had in mind. Galladay, the more we get talking, you and I back and forth here, I feel like maybe we're not crazy for thinking this Trubisky thing or the Chicago at-home thing. You can just see the bad Stafford game on the road coming in, right? So I like the Galladay call as well. I really am with you there for now anyway, unless there's a reason to go there on, if things improve or matchups change or something comes out. But I'm not really big on Godwin, and the reason is this, and I think from everything I can tell, there'd be no reason that Patrick Peterson wouldn't go after Mike Evans. And I was just looking up a stat, and since Patrick Peterson's been back, he's allowed a 131.4 QB passer rating, 2 touchdowns, 82% catch rate, and over 200 yards. I like Evans. I still think, I wrote him up in the article last week, Tambo's targets. I had him as the pivot over Godwin, which turned out to be huge. So not just to toot my own horn or our own horn, but that was a great pivot to be on last week when everyone was talking Godwin. You got Evans for cheaper by $100 and less ownership was what I talked about a lot in that article. And he gets the longer yards per play. And on top of that, he's their higher team target share. So with those stats that I just mentioned on Patrick Peterson, I got no problem going with Evans again over Godwin. So Godwin will be my fade. And then my values, I really couldn't get to him like you said. Like I was trying to pick and choose. I'll go back. If Curtis Samuel plays, I know he's questionable right now. For some reason, no price bump. The guy scores touchdowns. I think he's got 4 touchdowns now. He got another one last week. He's fine, in the snow game. If it's going to happen, I brought that up. I'm glad you mentioned weather earlier. But he can get those short checkdowns, right? If it's not going to be CMC, it's a good leverage play if you're going to not use CMC to use a guy that's 1/3 of his price that still scores touchdowns and Kyle Allen loves to use. Cam Newton, we didn't talk about this, but got moved to IR. So it's official. So, in a weather game in Green Bay, tough place to play, loud crowd, that sort of thing, you could see Curtis Samuel become a factor at just 4,600. And the other guy I really like actually is right on the button at 5,000. Assuming Ingram is out, but even if he plays, I don't mind him. If Shepard's back at 5,000, he's now $900 less than Tate, who I'm thinking of. And at 5,000, I like Shepard just as much. He used to be a lot more. Tate's been the guy, but I don't think they're going to shy away from Shepard. So 5,000 straight for him. I wouldn't stack him. I'm just going to use him as a one-off value. That's it.
No, yeah, Michael Thomas, full disclosure, is number one in my rankings that I released earlier. So definitely don't mind that if you want to go up there and you think you can save elsewhere, running backs or something, or you're on a couple cheaper guys. Michael Thomas, a great play. And Shepard was one to watch how he climbs throughout the week or see. He's in my top 20, 22, I think, somewhere right in that number. So I like him on coming back this week in a game that, we know the Jets and Giants, although ugly teams, both because of the D and how they're built. You got Tate, like you said, Shepard, then the Jet side, Robbie Anderson. I mean, you could have some big plays in that game, even though it's a quote unquote kind of scrub New York game. So I agree with all that. Definitely like those calls. Probably the two of the most, not important, but to see where we want to go with, you almost got to think you got to save down here at tight end and defense. So kick me off with the play value and fade on tight end and in your strategy this week, knowing there's not a bunch of value to go down to right now on wide receiver and quarterback and running back.
Yeah, well, when we're talking the playbook, right, and you've mentioned this to me before, and it's full disclosure, but, I'm playing, you guys know I'm playing a lot of lineups, but you said to me one time, I remember to this day, you said, well, how the hell are you fitting all those guys? And you're right. I talk about a lot of the high-priced guys. I'm not fitting them all. And remember, I always talk about this and got no problem. And as Gut mentioned, we're going to bring more strategy pods into the fold where we're going to talk about this, but I'm using these guys in those set lineups. So obviously, yes, I'm having to find value in different places. So you talked about, Ginn as an example. Instead of using Kamara, I'm going to use Thomas, and then I might fit in Ginn, and then boom, now I got all the money to play with again because a $3,700 guy makes it work. So again, when I'm talking about my plays, I'm talking about the best plays. Forget the points, everything dollar aside, but then that's why we talk about values. So I'm saying if you're building your lineup this way versus that way, you've got to convert. But I do like the more expensive tight ends. Obviously, again, I'll have to build backwards, to get them to fit in, but I got to love my boy Mark Andrews to fit with Lamar Jackson. I talked about him earlier. This will be the chalk combo, but I put in here as a note and strategy play, a way to be different is, here's the deal. If I actually like Boyd better if AJ Green plays to run it back.
Too. Yep,
so that's just a point to bring up, and I don't think he'll be as popular. I think obviously Boyd becomes extremely popular if AJ Green's out, which he wasn't at practice again today after Zach Laser and them said it's going to be all good. We got a plan for him, and then all the news came out that no, he's not. He didn't even practice today, so maybe he doesn't play this week. I actually don't even like running anyone back if not, because then I think Humphrey's just going to shut down Boyd in the slot if there's no AJ Green, and they'll have to work around it a different way. You could get a guy like Tate for value. But I like Boyd with that stack. So you run a Lamar, Andrews, run it back with Boyd. That's my tight end play with Kelsey as another expensive guy being a close second. Again, hoping that Mahomes is back. My fade's going to be Ingram, whether he plays or doesn't. Don't like him. I'd rather go up to Kelsey, down to Andrews. And then my value, who I think is who I'll use in some of these lineups as I'm talking about. And we didn't mention Zach Pascal as a wide receiver value. He's certainly in play this week. And we'll get to more of that as the week goes on, talk about it in the Audible. Obviously, a lot hinges here on Brissett, but I got to love Ebron at 3,900. He's the red zone guy. The bigger factor for me is it's not just that Hilton's out or that he can score touchdowns and that, you say, but Doyle's there and so on and so forth. But $3,900, we've seen him have multiple 2-touchdown games last year. I know different quarterback, but still, he's an end zone threat for them. And Paris Campbell broke his hand this week, or I believe it was his hand that he broke this week in the game. So now you got no Hilton, no Paris Campbell. A guy like Pascal and Doyle, those are sort of more move the chain guys, which, by the way, Ebron still does that for them. But when they get in that red zone, if they can't pound Mac in, they're going to be looking at going with a guy like Ebron as a big target there that can catch a ball. He could be good for 2 touchdowns at just $3,900 this week. I don't mind that at all. And I feel much safer with him than if someone mentions, maybe you do, a guy like Mike Gesicki at 3,100, who could be another value. But go ahead. What do you got this week up at tight end?
No, and I think a lot of that, what you said was dead on. I mean, and I relate it to as a newer guy, newbie, if you will, to NBA. even the way that Preston and Dan handle the article, like they're going to give you great plays, mid-range values, and sleepers, but you still have to choose the one or two that you can't fit, Cat and the Freak and, AD and LeBron all in the same lineup. No shit, they're all good and they're all playing, but you have to pick and choose. And we try to give enough leverage to go, here's why we like these guys and where we like them. And in this week they may have an edge, and then you take all that and you have to, at the end of the day, come Friday and Saturday, which is where the community and the Slack kind of feeds in, is you may have a game plan all set. And you and I are dead nuts on the same spot of people that build before even Friday. I don't know how they do it, and I mean, there's so much that changes in the NFL. I don't see how you can possibly do it. And the last thing you have to do is then go in and figure out, how does ownership affect everything I just talked about. NBA is a little different because it's every night, but you may be dead nuts on, here's my lineup, injuries are out, we know so-and-so's out for sure. Well, now I got to figure out how's the ownership factor into everything, and then make my tweaks off of that. So very difficult to do, but that's why putting the puzzle pieces together does take so much time and effort. And hopefully the community takes advantage of that. Tight end wise, I agree with you on Andrews. One I put in there just, and I thought you would go Jackson Andrews as a combo. So my kind of 1B was Jared Cook at 4,100. And that was to your point, I could do, say I do 4 lineups and I mix and match Kamara, MT, Ginn, and Cook, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. Well, I get every combination I want. I get the high price guy and the cheap guy in 4 different lineups, and that's a stack, and then I build off of that. That's just a way that you can take advantage of a situational game that you think may go off and get a couple different combos, save some money with 2 low guys, and price them up. Cook kind of fits that mold for me this week, along with Ted Ginn. Depending on how you want to lose it, you may put all 4 of them in a lineup and just hope they score 50. And you still got plenty of money, because now you're playing a $3,700 guy and a $4,100 guy. I don't know. I mean, that's something we give you options out there and then let you try to construct with everybody's help, as we get through the week. My fade was Kelsey. I think a lot depends on Mahomes. I want to see where he's at. They're on the road, though. Tennessee, we'll see. Tennessee's still competitive. They're not great, but, I mean, I could see them hanging in there. But $6,400, the main reason is I think you're going to have to find value this week in spots, and I don't think I want to pay $6,400 for Kelsey unless I'm quote unquote calling him my number 4 wide receiver. So I got 3 wide receivers, Kelsey, and then a cheap tight end. So almost playing 2 tight ends this week, potentially could do that. Or 2 wide receivers, Kelsey, and then I play Ginn, a guy like Ginn, or Tate, like you just mentioned, another cheap guy, something like that, where in a sense that cheap wide receiver is my tight end this week, quote unquote, and then Kelsey's my 3rd wide receiver. You could do that if that's the way you're thinking. And then my value was, I like Greg Olson. I just think $3,600. He's heavy in the game plan. Allen likes him a lot. Like you said, they get to the red zone. By chance, if CMC's not getting it, I think he could sneak a touchdown in there. I do like his value. A 1B guy for me was the guy that just it's kind of like Trubisky's 1 week a year. Like OJ Howard's got to go hard 1 week, right? And is this
is
week?
the matchup? Yeah, right. He's the other guy, but I don't know if I can do it. Like, God, it's so tough, but it makes sense.
Yeah, $3,300. It's a spot that maybe many won't go to, and so it could be you're still getting the stack. It's still the game that you may love, but you just pray that it's his 1 or 2 week where he goes for 120 and 2, and he just pays off crazy. So he's on my radar to kind of keep in the player pool. I'll kick off defense real quick. This is pretty easy for me right now. My plays are Ravens. I think they smash. They get a lot of turnovers. They get a lot of they could even hold them to low points. The only thing I don't like about them is that they're on the road, but I'm really not real concerned about it. And then I like I had a 2A, 2B. I like the Saints as well. Just because I hate it. I think Atlanta just gives up. I think they kind of, like I mentioned with Reese now, and nothing's changed me there. The Saints are playing great. They're at home. I love that. $3,700. If you don't want to take the Ravens, I like the Saints at home. And then my value play is the Cardinals. $2,200. I think Tampa Bay could still score 20. I've mentioned this week in and week out, 20, 30 points. but Arizona could get a sack or two, a fumble. We know Winston has a chance to turn it over a few times. They're kind of my cheapy play of the week. I don't think I can go Baltimore or Atlanta, even though they're god-awful cheap. Only because Bengals, because Baltimore just doesn't really – Lamar really doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and they run so much that it would have to be a fumble or something crazy to make that really worth it at 1,700. In Atlanta, I see no shot of holding the Saints to less than 28 points. So I don't like anybody there. So that's kind of my cheap play of the week. What about you?
Like the Saints, I'm off this Ravens thing. It's going to come into play. We're getting into the betting segment here next. Like I said, it scares me. I remember last time I talked about this because remember, the Bengals already saw them, and it was only a 23-17 game in Baltimore, and Lamar did run for 152, and my boy Andrews caught 99 yards against him. So I'll say this. I still am scared about this spot. I think it could be a very trap spot. I'm not big on Baltimore. I like the Saints at home, regardless of cost, save a little bit of money off the Ravens. Atlanta can make mistakes. Ryan or not, doesn't matter. They're going to get crushed, I think. The Steelers were my value because of road Goff, but also we've talked about this on the pod in the past. It's more of, does pressure get to him, Goff? And if it does, he can't play. And Pittsburgh creates a lot of pressure. Watt and the boys, they're at home. They're in a good spot there. So I like them for just 2,600 and the Saints for my play. Like I said, I'm just worried a little bit more about this, and we'll get into the betting segment. But what do you got for stacks? First off, Gup, for this week.
Yeah, I agree with you on the definitely agree with you on the Saints there. So obviously Bucks is the first one I like. Winston, Godwin, Winston Evans, OJ, Winston Jones, OJ, Evans. I mean, you can mix and match that. You could go Murray and then throw some Tampa wide receivers and maybe Kirk in there. I mean, you could have a 4 or 5 player stack out of that game, any which way you want to go. And then the Saints. I don't know if I go to Drew Brees yet. I hadn't figured that out, but I mentioned enough of them. And the 4 main ones I'm eyeing in some kind of way was the 4 I just mentioned: Kamara, MT, Ginn, and then Cook. So Saints, Bucks, Saints, Cardinals, somewhere in that range. What about you?
Yeah, I said I'd talk about it at the end because some of these guys didn't fit, and I cheated on DJ and brought his name into it. But Kyler, your boy, who I know, you got to love him this week. So, Kyler against this Tampa Bay team, it's a pass funnel. It makes sense. DJ's priced right at 5,700, didn't fit my values. You took Kirk and used him as one of your plays, didn't quite fit the values at 5,200. I like Kirk as well. So Kyler, DJ, Kirk, run it back with any of those Tampa guys you just talked about. I'm fine with that. Evans, Godwin, even OJ, you might have sold me on it. But like I said, you can mix a guy like Jones into that game stack. Let's say they get rolling right quick. 50-yard pass to Evans, 20-yard pass to Godwin, and then boom, Jones gets the touchdown for 4,300. That's going to make some value there early and hope that he can roll from there. And then the chalk stack is the LJ with Andrews. I love it. And like I said, maybe just get sneaky on who you run it back with. If it's going to be chalk going that way, get a different guy on the other side, whether it's Tate, Boyd, if AJ plays, or even AJ if he plays.
Would you do any LJ, Andrews, Ravens D, or are you just totally against the Ravens D?
I'm not really on the Ravens D this week. What I would do is I would do a Saints stack with the D, and I would do a Trubisky stack with the D, because here's the thing about Trubisky. I think it's got to be a bit of a close game, but I think that Stafford can make some mistakes. So I think that could end up being one of the games where you see that and all those guys work. So you could run almost like a full onslaught stack with Chicago D involved for cheaper.
Yep. Nope, I agree with you. Super7 spreads hot off the presses. Obviously, for me, I'm just attacking like it's another week. I do now pay for a while. JB knows this. I know you maybe do too. Like I would just submit my lineups like the first 6 weeks, and I just pure coincidence that one lineup kept being my best almost every single week. Now, obviously, I do try to somewhat subconsciously put my best plays into it. We'll see how it goes.
Now. You're definitely better now.
I still want to get my Super 7 week, my 7-0, because that's guaranteed money. Where I'm at now doesn't mean anything. I could, the guy that was winning the Super Contest in Vegas has went like 2-8-1 the last 2 weeks, and he went from, he's still up there top 5, but he was like 27-3, and now he's got like 12 losses. I did have a perfect week in that one as well with OG. We are charging hard in the Super Contest. I'll just leave it at that. So good week there as well. The Super 7's mine, which I give him shit about because I just picked those myself. And so the ones we don't agree with, I've done well, obviously. And so I give him shit, but OG's a great guy, so he just laughs at it. We've done well working together on the Super Contest one, though. I got 2 dogs. I had to call myself off of a 6-star bet last night with this first one. I'm not saying I won't go there yet, but it looks way, way too obvious to me, and I just don't understand the number. It's the highest plus minus in my power rankings 3 years, and I can't figure it out. And the other side of it is a team that I've been bitten by so much, so I'm just thinking maybe it's just me overthinking. But I love the Bills +3. I think Cleveland's a wreck. I think Baker has too many tendencies that a defense like Buffalo will pick up on. But maybe that's just a chalk me thinking, and I need to dive into it before I officially jump in. But I still love the Bills. I'll play them. They're my free play of the week, +3. Get it. I'm going to bet it normal for now, but I'm going to do some deep diving and film watching to see if there's anything that gets me thinking Cleveland can show up finally and play well. So I'm on the Bills +3. The second one I like just because of the number. My gut said that this wasn't going to be as close of a line. I thought it was going to be San Fran -4, 4.5-ish. So to get Seattle at 6.5 worries me a little bit because I feel like Vegas is trapping you in there with Russell Wilson coming off a great game again. I just like him in this spot. It's Monday night. If this was a mid-card Sunday game, I wouldn't like Seattle as much, but putting Russell on Monday Night Football, primetime, the dude shows up always. I'll take Russell +6.5 against a first time in the limelight 49ers, even though I love them and they've no worse than pushed my big preseason bet on them over 8 as they start out 8-0. They just got to win one more game when we cash that. I like Seattle. What are your 2?
I was like taking the big dogs, especially at home when you get a number that most people are scared of. So I know it's the NFL. I know they say these numbers are too big, but Saints -13, assuming Kamara's good, finally rested, fully healthy. I saw today their entire O-line is intact. That's why I like them for DFS. That's why I like Kamara. That's why I like Thomas. All these guys, I just feel like they should smash them, and 2 TDs seems like nothing at home. So I'm going with the Saints -13. And then my other one is I should say Cincy +10 or whatever their number is. I got to look it up again. But I'm going to say the Jets, actually, and I'm going to use them as my dog. So I'm jumping ahead here. But +2.5, home game is technically, out the window because it's for both teams. It's in New York. So against the Giants. But I talked about not loving Barkley and not loving that offense, especially if Ingram's out. Not really getting behind anyone besides Shepard, like I mentioned, as a value at 5K for PPR, but that doesn't convert to real life play. And what about this? Darnold, 3rd overall pick. Giants take Barkley instead. What about the snub job? So I don't know about that maybe meaning something as well. It's only 2.5 points, so didn't look half bad last week, bounced back a little. So I'll take the Jets +2.5 and get your thoughts on it as we segue into the dog, because that's my dog this week as well as the winner at home, quote unquote, against the Giants, New York.
Yep, New York's Jets 2.5 on the Super, and the Bengals are 10.
Like them both.
I don't mind that. My dog of the week is the one I just mentioned, Bills. I'm going to take them out. I would take them outright. So definitely like Bills. I don't mind the Jets either. I do think the Giants have pieces if they put it together. I just worry about that defense. Not that the Jets have anything to write home about, but Darnold showed flashes. It'll be a good kind of fun, entertaining game to watch in general, and just kind of see what those guys are made of as they try to plant themselves, being Danny Dimes and Darnold. Can they be the future for those franchises? We'll kind of see a little bit. They both have had great times and they both struggled. So we'll see. Survivor pick. I'm still alive. I still have the one that I have not lost all year, which I'm proud of. I do have one that, it was one of the rebuy situations. So I like that one as well, but I like the one that I haven't lost anymore yet either. I'm way gone in the Gups Corner one. I don't know. I'll probably put a note in here to make sure I get how many is left each week from JB, because we should have that. That's my fault for not knowing how many is left. But I had 3 teams listed because I don't know. There's so many. We're deep in the season. People could have used everybody. My number one is who you just mentioned. If you have the Saints, I think you lock and load them. There's like a 1% scenario in my head. I see them losing at home to Atlanta. Like, it would be one of the biggest upsets in the last 5 years for me if they lost at home in this exact position with a dead coach, a quarterback who's potentially crippled, and just nothing going for him at all. And it's on the road. Like, if this is a Saints -9 at Atlanta, I could say I could maybe see some kind of stupid slip up, but not in New Orleans. I like your Ravens at home. I mean, they're on the road, but I like them. If you haven't used
Don't do it. Don't do it. That's the trap this week. It's the trap.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
But Saints are my one, and then I don't mind the Colts. Maybe if you're just desperate, you've already used all the chalky. Maybe that's another one. Who is yours?
Yeah, it has to be the Saints. I was looking back. I couldn't see a lot of spots that guys would have used them. So maybe I'm missing it, but
I still have them all. I have them in all mine. So
that's what I was going to say. That tells me right there. That's not, you're definitely not the public by any means. You're the complete opposite. So that would be saying maybe not everyone does, but I would say if you got it in every league, then I'd have to assume most people have them. I'd roll the Saints here and just let them smash.
Mainly because those first 2 games with Bridgewater, no one really could trust them for a survivor type deal. So yeah, definitely. I think a lot will have the Saints, and I think now, like if you're in like one where you have 2 or 3, I would not go all Saints, because if you ever talk about the perfect weekend for a blood murder would be them losing, like there'd be survivor pools crashed all over the place. So you may want to diversify on one just in case, if you have that possibility. But if you just have one bullet left, I think I'd just die on the Saints sword this week if that's the one I had.
If you go down, you go down. Take them.
Yep. All right. Well, before we wrap it up, any final thoughts from you?
No, not for me, man. I know you got some exciting stuff to talk about. I'm super pumped for all of it, so let's hear it.
Yep. So as always, join us Saturday night, 7 Eastern, the Audible. We stay in touch with the community. Between Wednesday and Saturday, sometimes we have stuff come up. We try to commit to it. If not, we try to get other content out. As of right now, I think we should be good to go, but obviously stay in touch with Slack, or maybe we put an announcement out if something changes. Utilize the Slack channel, hashtag live chat questions. If we happen to not have the live audible, we always go into there and answer everything first, and then start. Once we have those answered, we'll flip back over to the NFL channel and take live questions throughout the night if we happen to not be away that evening. As always, you can join gupscorner.com. We've mentioned all the reasons why. If you're an NBA guy, I think for the value of everything you get in our content analysis package, which is college football, NFL, PGA, NASCAR, horse racing, which OG had a great weekend, and the horse racing channel was terrific this past weekend. As I caught up on it Sunday evening, NBA, MLB, all that is included in our content analysis package. Through Sunday, you can use GCFFG20 for 20% off any package, monthly, annual package. That will be the next to last time we have a discount code for the rest of the year. We will, Sunday night, it'll go away. We will have probably some kind of special offer between that and the merchandise wrapped around Black Friday. And that'll be it until we have the big kickoff for the 2020 PGA season with our golf tools debuting. One nice thing about content analysis right now, you get the free preview of our premium tools, which increase every week. We have some exciting things that will debut for the Tournament of Champions under the premium package. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to be awesome. 2020 PGA season is going to be on fire. If you missed last week, our new gear launched last, I want to say Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in that time frame. Use the code LAUNCH, literally, LAUNCH. Get 10% off anything you order in the site. We have new Gups Corner shirts and hats. This is our ALL shirt representing our boy Kevin. More on that in a second. But the shirt and hats you can buy individually. You can buy a combo. Use that 10% off. It basically covers your shipping per se. So great time to buy all that stuff. Help support us. We use that money. We do not take it for profit. That's what we use to rebuild and keep investing in this product. So all you guys that, and you guys want to see polos and all that kind of stuff, we hear that all the time, but you got to show us that you guys want it. And the only way you show is by buying it. We've already committed to it. We've already bought the inventory. So we need you guys supporting us there. We'll have some flyers going out. Also, we have the HV3 shirts for charity. We need to sell those out quickly. We got to show Harold, who committed to us and bought into our community, that we support him and his foundation. All the profit for those shirts sold. It's a limited quantity, so when they're gone, they're gone. So don't wait around on those. You get all the money will go to the HV3 Foundation, which Harold supports. It's for basically young youth growing up, don't have all the means or assets financially to get into golf. His charity is fantastic. We've supported in the past and we'll continue to support it during 2020. This is a great way to get you a little merchandise with some HV3 love on it, plus support his charity, as all of it will go to that once we get those shirts sold out. Limited quantity available. There is combo packages on the Gups Corner stuff if you would like to do that and take advantage of even more of a discount. Another positive about the combo package is it's the second way you get into the drawing for the Honda Classic giveaway. As I mentioned, airfare and lodging for the week, tickets to the Hyundai Classic. There will be one day, a special day, where I am working with the corporate sponsor of the entire tournament. Talked to them today for about an hour. We're going to do something special, and the person that wins this will be involved in that. It'll be a high-class royalty treatment for the fan that wins this. Plenty of ways to get in. Ways right now, we're putting together a whole package for this, so we'll have it all out there so you guys remember. iTunes, rate and review. Anybody that's reviewed us, you get a ticket in. A combo shirt. Every combo package you buy, you get a ticket in. Every HV3 shirt you buy, you get a ticket in. So if you buy a combo package HV3 shirt, give us a review. You got 3 tickets right there. Anybody that's an annual member already, you already have a ticket in. So you're in. Thanks for supporting us and being loyal. If you're a monthly member and you want to upgrade to annual, you do that. You're in. That gets you a ticket. If you're a new guy out there, you've been listening a while, you want to give us a try, there's no better chance to get in now. 20% off everything. You buy the annual package and you buy the annual combo package, you get double entries as a new in. So if you buy the combo package, you get double the entries for doing that. We appreciate you guys that want to give us a try. It's got to be the annual package, just because it shows us loyalty, and we want to give you anybody that's been in our big drawings before. They were all annual as well, so we're not doing anything different there. And there'll be more giveaways throughout as we lead into the PGA Tools. When that launches, there'll be a way for everybody to get tickets in for that as well. So there's going to wind up being a way you could get 6 or 7 tickets in, and hopefully there's a bunch in there. If there's not, you're going to have a great chance. Someone will win this, so you're going to have a great chance to win it. There's going to be at least 2 rounds of golf. All your dinners for the week will be bought by me. Your airfare will be bought by Gups Corner. Your lodging's provided already. We already have the house reserved. You got a spot there. The golf will be paid for by us. It's all covered. You just bring fun money that you may want to spend or whatever. Everything else is on us. It's going to be amazing. The value of this, when it's all said and done, will actually be more than what we put into the Blue Jack, just because of all the activities and how long it's lasting. And plus, with some more announcements coming, there's going to be more industry guys in the area. That's going to be a fun environment for you to be a part of. Do not miss out. Get in now. Go buy your combo packages on your merchandise, your H for3 shirts if you're already a member. And if you're saying, all right, I'm a member, I got everything, how do I get in more? You're going to have at least 2 or 3 more ways by the time we hit kickoff for January. So stay patient with us, and we'll get you on that. Tambo, before I send everybody off, any thoughts or comments on the Honda Classic, the gear? I know we got our stuff on the way. Anything on that before we wrap it up here?
Oh, I'm excited, man. I don't get all the gear because I'm in Canada. So what I do is I have JB set it all aside. He's got all of it for me. I'm pumped because he's going to bring it all in his bag. He's got a stack. You got to get an extra bag if you need to, JB, but it's all coming with him to the Honda. So I'm going to be geared out. Can't wait for that. Get all the shirts if you don't got them. I'm going to have every single one of them to wear that week. The week is going to be insane. Gup didn't even drop all the news, but I tell you what, I went to him at New Jersey last year for the Sports Betting National Championship. I know I work with him. I know he's a brother, but man, he takes care of you. When he says he'll take care of you, he'll take care of you like one of his own, and we'll all do the same. But Gup's the man. I'm excited. I'm proud to be a part of Gup's Corner. Anybody who's not involved yet, if you're going to probably buy this stuff anyway. So realistically, it's just where you're going to wait for the regular season and not have a chance at all these prizes or whatever's on the line when you could just get in now, get some sneak peeks at some of that stuff, get in the Slack, get winning money right now. NBA, I got some sweats again tonight for our pitch of the night is NBA. But, man, I'm telling you, get on it now, grab all the stuff, and let's roll. Honda's going to be sick.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. I can't wait to a couple of the other announcements come out over the next few weeks. The golf tools package is going to be amazing. So we have some partnerships there we're working on that'll be even more advantageous for you guys. Help support us on that gear and stuff. It really goes a long way for our capital. I'm not lying about it. I'm not hiding like we're not making profit. Sure, we're making profit, but everything you've seen in the site has been because you guys have invested in us and you believe in us, and everybody that comes back and how can I help you? How can I want to see more growth. And I've told everybody, hey, the only way really, if you're already a part is this kind of stuff, because we take this money and I 100% invest it back into the company so that we can improve our products like we're doing today. NBA and MLB, I had to hire people on to do it, right? Well, I didn't take any more money in from anybody. So where do you think that money came from? We use capital to front that, trusting ourselves in the product. So when you guys do that, I promise you it helps a lot. And then most and foremost, we donate a ton to charity, and you guys know that. So bringing H for3 on and trusting our community, just little old Gups Corner, to put a custom shirt of his out for us, that's a big deal for us. So we want to show him how we support those guys. And the shirts are great. They're the same. I did have a question. I'll end it on that. The HU3 shirts are the same ones we've made. So some guys love our master shirts and the new ones. These are all the same quality. They're all done by the same guy. Joe's been terrific for us. The hats are not some off-the-wall Walmart hat. These are flex fit. So think of like Nike flex fit type hats. They're amazing. Mine's supposed to be here this week. Obviously, I'll be wearing it if I didn't have it. Hopefully, I have it by Saturday on the Audible. They're very, very nice, well-done hats. You can get on the site and look at the front and the back. Other than that, that's it for tonight. A little long tonight. We had a lot to cover. We have a lot coming up. We only have a few weeks left of golf and then, NBA or NFL, and we kind of take a break. So we're trying to get this all out with these big announcements and get you guys rolling. We will see you. Oh, yeah. Sorry, good point. ALL shirt. As you all know, we raised a bunch of money to prove our point. We did this with Chris. I'll probably mess up his name. I think it's Ferreter. I retweeted one of his tweets today if you want to go check him out. He did the design for us and the shirts. His company donated all that. We donated all the work and labor and getting them all out there. We had another member who had a big hit during this drive who donated. So in all, we raised almost $2,000 for the ALS fund drive. So Kevin, if you're listening, I'll be getting in touch with you and we'll be getting that money to you this week. So proud of the community for chipping in and supporting our own. Kevin's been a loyal supporter. He is fighting and doing everything he can to be at the Honda Classic. And if he can be there, he's obviously an honorary member and honorary everything. I will cover everything for him. And although it'll probably be emotional, there'd be nothing better in the world for him to be there. And I know there's a lot of guys in the community that want to support him and are going to try to make it as well. So could be a very once in a lifetime event for everybody that wants to get there. And someone's going to get an entire trip for free. So it's going to be awesome. Kevin, we love you. We appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully see you soon here in February. With nothing else, we'll see you Saturday night, 7:00 Eastern for JB behind the mic, who's always got my back. Tambo, myself, have a good night. Have a great week.